Welcome back today. We're counting down the top 10 most valuable Washington quarter dollar coins that could be hiding in your collection. Stick around to find out which could make you a fortune. First up, the 1974 coin falls within the more modern era of these coins, and while it may not be as old as some of its counterparts, it has its own unique value, especially in higher grades. The 1974 Washington quarter is notable for its large date version, which came about during the U.S. Mint's decision to change the date style on coins in the early 1970s. The design of the Washington quarter has remained relatively constant since its inception in 1932. The obverse of the 1974 Washington quarter features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. On the reverse, we see an eagle perched on a branch, designed by Gilbert Stuart. This iconic design was the workhorse of U.S. coinage for decades, with only minor alterations over the years. However, in the 1974 quarter, the large date feature stands out. The numerals are noticeably larger than previous issues, a result of changes in the Mint's production techniques. While this change may seem minor, it is one of the key details that collectors look for. The 1974 Washington quarter was minted in large quantities, with both Philadelphia and Denver facilities producing them. However, the coins minted at the Philadelphia Mint do not have a mint mark. This is significant because while many coins were produced during this time, the lack of a mint mark on the 1974 Philadelphia quarter makes it stand out in terms of rarity. The mintage of the 1974 quarter was approximately 629 million, with the vast majority of these coins being released into circulation. However, in fine condition, the coin becomes less common, as most circulated coins of that year show signs of wear and damage. The 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark is relatively common in lower grades, but in fine condition, the value begins to increase. At auction, coins in fine condition can fetch anywhere from $58,000, depending on factors like market demand and buyer interest. However, what truly drives up the value is the condition. Higher grades, like very fine or extremely fine, could command values closer to $50 or even higher, particularly if the coin has been well preserved or shows minimal wear. While the 1974 Washington quarter may not be the most famous in the series, it has attracted interest from collectors because of its large date feature. Many collectors focus on acquiring examples from specific years that have subtle differences, such as the large date versus small date variety in 1974. Moreover, due to its higher mintage and less frequent appearance in high grades, it has become a desirable piece for those looking to complete a Washington quarter collection. There are no known major errors or varieties associated with the 1974 Washington quarter. Without a mint mark, however, some minor issues, such as die cracks or striking errors, occasionally turn up. While these errors are not common, they can add extra value to the coin if found. Next up, 1967, the Washington quarter was well established as one of the most recognizable coins in the U.S. currency system. The coin underwent a significant redesign in 1932, marking its permanent place in American numismatics. By the late 1960s, the U.S. Mint was seeing a shift in coin production due to the rising demand for coinage in circulation during a period of economic expansion and social change. 1967 also saw the first year of the Kennedy half-dollar's production, and it was a time of immense political and social change. The Vietnam War was ongoing, and the civil rights movement was at its peak. These factors, while not directly affecting the Washington quarter, set the tone for the period in which these coins were produced. The 1967 Washington quarter, like all others in the series, features a rendition of George Washington's portrait on the obverse. The reverse depicts an eagle perched on a branch, which has become a hallmark of the Washington quarter design. In 1967, the large date variety of the quarter was created due to a change in the way the mint struck the coins. The numerals for the year were larger, which makes the 1967 quarter stand out among other years. The 1967 Washington quarter had a high mintage, particularly from the Philadelphia Mint. The total mintage for 1967 was around 1.8 billion coins, but again, The coins without mint marks from Philadelphia are often the most common in circulation. Despite its high mintage, the 1967 quarter is somewhat rare in well-preserved circulated condition. In circulated condition, the value of the 1967 Washington quarter is relatively low, generally ranging from $99,000. However, the coin's value increases significantly if it is in higher grades. In fine to very fine condition, a 1967 Washington quarter might sell for between $300,000, depending on the specific market conditions at the time of sale. Coins in high-grade conditions, such as extremely fine or higher, can command prices over $100. Although these higher-grade coins are not as common, they are highly sought after by serious collectors. Collectors of Washington quarters often look for variations in minting and production, and the large date variety in 1967 is particularly attractive. The Washington Quarter Series is one of the most popular U.S. coinage series for collectors, and the 1967 quarter fits well into this category. As with the 1974 quarter, there are few major errors associated with the 1967 Washington quarter. However, some collectors may find minor errors like die cracks or off-center strikes that can add value. These types of errors are not common, but can sometimes lead to higher auction prices. Next up coin on the list is a fascinating piece from the United States Mint, the Washington quarter dollar from 1990 with a P mint mark. This coin may not be as old as some of the rarer ones we typically cover, but its value and collector interest have soared in recent years. Let's take a closer look at its history, features, and market potential. The Washington quarter dollar series was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The original design featured a portrait of Washington on the obverse and a bald eagle on the reverse. Over the years, the design has remained relatively consistent, though there have been several changes in the reverse design, especially with special commemorative issues. The 1990 Washington quarter is a part of the regular series and has the familiar Washington portrait on the front. It was minted as part of the circulation coinage at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P mint mark. While it may not have been part of any major commemorative program, the 1990 Washington quarter still holds significance for collectors due to its historical place in the series. The 1990 Washington quarter showcases the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. The reverse of the coin features an eagle, which was designed by John Sinek. This design has remained largely unchanged since 1932, with only minor tweaks over the years. On the obverse, Washington's portrait is detailed and recognizable. The coin is made from a copper, nickel-clad composition with a total weight of 5.67 grams and a diameter of 24.3 m. The mint mark's P is located just beneath the Washington portrait, signifying that this coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Over 500 million 1990 Washington quarters were minted, meaning that these coins were produced in high volumes and are relatively easy to find. However, the value of these coins can vary dramatically based on condition. In fine condition, the 1990 P Washington quarter typically sells for between $23,000, but this coin can fetch much more in exceptional grades. It's important to remember that coin values fluctuate with market trends, and collectors may seek out certain coins for specific reasons. While not a rare coin in terms of mintage, its historical significance and collector demand can drive its value higher in certain conditions. Collectors of Washington quarters often focus on coins with certain mint marks, errors, or unique characteristics. While the 1990 P quarter does not have any notable errors, its value can still be enhanced by its condition and scarcity in the marketplace. As for the auction market, collectors are particularly drawn to higher-grade coins that are well preserved. In fine condition, the 1990 P Washington quarter is typically valued at $28,000, but specimens in near mint or mint state conditions could see prices up to $50,000 or more. Special interest groups, such as those focused on modern coinage or specific mint mark collections, may be willing to pay a premium for these quarters when they come up for auction. Next up, we're going to discuss the 1991 Washington quarter, which is a bit more unique due to its large date and the presence of a red color shade on the reverse side. This coin, with a D-mint mark, has generated a great deal of interest in recent years. But what makes it stand out, and why is it so valuable in today's auction market? Let's find out. The 1991 Washington quarter was produced during a transitional time in U.S. coinage. By this point, the Washington quarter series had been in circulation for nearly 60 years. However, the early 1990s marked a period of changing coin designs and production methods. This particular coin, minted at the Denver Mint, is significant for two reasons: the large date on the obverse and the unusual red color shade on the reverse. The large date refers to the size of the numerals on the date, which are slightly larger compared to the standard quarter design. The red color shade on the reverse, which is often a result of environmental factors, adds a unique twist to this coin and increases its rarity and appeal to collectors. As mentioned earlier, the 1991 Washington quarter continues to feature the same iconic portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. However, the large date on the obverse of this coin is what stands out. The numerals 1991 are noticeably larger, which creates a distinct appearance compared to earlier issues. On the reverse, the eagle is perched on a bundle of arrows and olive branches designed by John Sinek. The red color shade found on the reverse of this coin is often a result of oxidation or other environmental factors affecting the copper-nickel composition. This unusual color adds an extra layer of intrigue for collectors, as these color variations are often considered a form of toning, which is prized by certain collectors for its uniqueness. The 1991 Washington quarter with AD mint mark had a mintage of approximately 600 million coins. This is a significant number, but the rarity of coins with a large date and red color variation is what has sparked interest in the market. In fine condition, this coin typically sells for between $44,000, though auction prices can exceed this depending on the toning and overall condition of the coin. The market value can fluctuate significantly due to the presence of the red color tone. Coins with pronounced color variation may be worth more to collectors who appreciate the unique aspects of toning, especially those who specialize in error coins or coin variations. Collectors of Washington quarters and those with an interest in unique variations are increasingly targeting coins with distinctive features like the large date and red toning. The unique coloration on the reverse of the 1991 coin can dramatically increase its value, especially when well preserved. In the auction market, these coins can fetch anywhere from $63,000 in fine condition, but coins with exceptional toning can sometimes command even higher prices. Special interest collectors focusing on errors and toning often compete for these pieces, making them highly sought after when they appear in auctions. Next up, 1983, the Washington quarter continued its standard design, but an interesting series of errors made their way into the production process. One of the most notable was the creation of a coin with a D-mint mark error, along with a clipped planchette. This coin has become a highly coveted collector's item due to its rarity and the error that occurred during minting. The design of the 1983 Washington quarter is largely similar to that of other quarters produced during this time. The obverse features a profile of George Washington facing left with the inscription Liberty and the date 1983 surrounding him. Above Washington's head is the word "In God We Trust," a long-standing tradition on U.S. coins. The 1983 Washington quarter is struck in copper, nickel-clad, which is standard for quarters minted during this period. However, the true intrigue comes with the D-error mint mark and the clipped planchette feature on the coin. The clipped planchette error occurs when the metal blank used to strike the coin is improperly fed into the minting press, resulting in a portion of the blank being missing in this case on the front of Washington's face. In 1983, the U.S. Mint produced over 750 million Washington quarters across its 3 mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, only a very small number of coins were affected by the minting error, making this coin extremely rare. The mint mark D denotes coins struck at the Denver Mint, and while a fair number of Denver coins were produced that year, only a handful contained the clipped planchette error, particularly in the fine condition that collectors covet. It's important to note that minting errors like this one are rare, and often result in coins being pulled from circulation or immediately discovered during quality control checks. As such, only a small percentage of these erroneous coins ever make it into the hands of collectors, further driving up their value in the market. Due to the rarity of the clipped planchette error and its appearance on a 1983 Washington quarter with the D Mint mark, this coin holds significant value in today's auction market. Coins like this in fine condition can fetch up to $200,000 to $3,600 at auction, depending on the specific grade and market conditions. The clipped planchette error, especially on such a notable coin, is extremely sought after by collectors who specialize in minting errors and rarities. Coins with minting errors, especially clipped planchettes, have become a niche within the numismatic community. These coins are considered oddities and are often priced higher than their regular counterparts due to their uniqueness and the story behind their creation. Collectors interested in error coins are especially drawn to pieces like this 1983 Washington quarter. The combination of the D Mint mark error and the clipped planchette error makes this coin stand out as a prime example of U.S. coinage gone awry. The coin's historical significance, being part of the Washington Quarter series, which is one of the longest-running series in U.S. coinage history, only adds to its allure. Furthermore, there is a specific subset of collectors who specialize in acquiring coins with manufacturing defects. These collectors often pay premium prices for coins that have unusual or rare errors, as these coins are seen as even more unique than the regular mintage of the same year. Next up, the Washington quarter has seen many variations over the decades, and by the time the 1988 Washington quarter was released, the U.S. Mint had already perfected its production techniques. However, certain issues in the production process, as well as the general condition of the coins, would still affect their value on the collector's market. The 1988 Washington quarter is part of the 1980 series of quarters, which are widely collected today due to their relative abundance and the minor variations and errors they may contain. The coin features a large date style, which was a feature in various years during the 1980s, and the P Mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The design of the 1988 Washington quarter remains consistent with that of earlier quarters, with George Washington's image gracing the obverse and the American eagle on the reverse. What makes this coin stand out is not necessarily its design, but rather the fine condition of the piece, especially considering its age. In terms of the 1988 quarter, the large date style simply refers to the size of the digits on the coin. The large date designation is used to differentiate these coins from the standard size digits seen on other years, and it is considered a notable feature among collectors, though not as rare as some other minting errors. In 1988, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 500 million quarters. The 1988 Washington quarter, with its large date and P Mint mark, was one of the most widely circulated coins of the era. However, fine condition coins are harder to come by, especially as many of these coins were spent in daily transactions or were subject to wear and tear over the years. Coins in fine condition, meaning they show some wear but still retain most of their details, are much rarer than coins in lower grades. The 1988 Washington quarter was widely used and seen in circulation, which makes finding one in fine condition relatively difficult. While a standard 1988 Washington quarter in average condition is worth its face value, 25 cents a fine condition example can fetch a price anywhere from $30,000 at auction, depending on the buyer and current market trends. Coins in better condition, such as those in extra fine or uncirculated condition, can fetch significantly higher prices, especially if they are part of a special set or hold particular historical significance. This coin, while not as rare as other error coins or special editions, still holds its value for collectors who seek to complete sets of Washington quarters or those interested in specific years and mint marks. Though this coin does not feature any major errors, collectors are still highly interested in fine condition 1988 quarters. The large date version is a particular point of interest, as some collectors prefer the visual appeal of the large date over the standard size, and it serves as a minor variation in the Washington Quarter series. For collectors focusing on collecting quarters by year, mint mark, or condition, The 1988 Washington quarter remains an essential piece. The P Mint mark specifically appeals to those who focus on coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Next up, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar holds a special place in numismatic history due to its error, making it a sought-after item for collectors. The Washington quarter series, which was introduced in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington, has seen various redesigns and errors throughout the years. The year 1966 was a particularly interesting year for this coin, as it marked the midpoint of the transition in coin production techniques in the U.S. Mint. The 1966 large date quarter, featuring the iconic image of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle perched on an olive branch on the reverse, is part of a broader set of coinage issues during the mid-1960s. The 1960s were a transitional time for the U.S. Mint, particularly due to the increasing demand for coins and the implementation of new machinery and technology. However, what makes this coin especially valuable today is the D-Mint mark error. The D-Mint mark typically signifies coins produced at the Denver Mint. However, in this case, an error occurred during the minting process that led to a distinctively different type of marking or misalignment, which resulted in a unique version of the 1966 Washington quarter. The 1966 Washington quarter dollar coin is one of the most recognized U.S. coins thanks to its simple but elegant design. On the obverse, you'll find George Washington's portrait designed by John Flanagan, which has remained unchanged since its introduction in 1932. The reverse showcases a majestic eagle holding an olive branch and arrows in its talons, symbolizing peace and strength. In the case of the large date variety, the numbers in the year 1966 are noticeably larger and more prominent compared to other years, making it easier for collectors to identify this version. The D-Mint mark error is a particularly valuable feature, as it is much rarer than the typical mint mark varieties. While the total mintage of the 1966 Washington quarter is estimated to be over 100 million coins, the D-Mint mark error coins are much rarer, with only a limited number reaching the market. Collectors are particularly interested in these coins due to the nature of the error, which occurred in the Denver Mint during the coin's production run. In fine condition, the value of the 1966 Washington quarter with D-error mint mark can vary, but on the high end, it's worth significantly more than standard examples. The error, combined with its historical significance, makes it a prized find in the coin collecting world. The 1966 Washington quarter with D-error mint mark in fine condition typically fetches between $50 to $200 at auction, depending on the severity of the error and the coin's overall quality. If you are fortunate enough to come across one in uncirculated condition, its value can soar to even higher figures, often reaching into the $88,000 range. Errors like this one contribute significantly to the desirability and value of the coin, especially for dedicated error coin collectors who seek rare pieces with minting mistakes. Next up, the 1997 Washington quarter is part of the later series of quarters that continued to feature the portrait of George Washington. The Washington quarter series, originally introduced in 1932, has undergone several changes over the years. By 1997, the design had remained largely the same since 1932, with only minor adjustments for centering and other production elements. The year 1997 was also part of the ongoing tradition of using the Philadelphia Mint, denoted by the P, Mint mark, for a significant portion of the nation's coinage. However, unlike earlier years, when quarters were primarily minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, 1997 saw the continuation of coin production using modernized machinery and improved minting processes. As a result, the 1997 quarter is often seen as a more standardized coin in terms of design and production methods. But what makes the 1997 Washington quarter dollar unique, especially in circulated condition, is the ongoing interest in the P Mint mark variety. While most coins in this series were produced in large numbers, collectors often seek out certain years and mint marks for specific collecting purposes. The 1997 Washington quarter retains the familiar design by John Flanagan, with George Washington's bust featured on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. The large date design was introduced for better readability, with the numerals in the year 1997 appearing larger than on some earlier issues. The distinguishing feature of the P Mint mark is that it denotes the coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and while many of these coins were produced, collectors still find them fascinating due to their continued role in U.S. coinage history. The total mintage of the 1997 Washington quarter was in the hundreds of millions, making it a relatively common coin. However, collectors show interest in the coin, especially for specific years, mint marks, and conditions. Although the P Mint mark version is not as rare as error coins, it remains a collectible coin due to its role in the history of U.S. coin production and its association with later 20th century design. In circulated condition, the value of the 1997 Washington quarter dollar with P Mint mark is modest but can still fetch $49,000, depending on the overall condition and whether it has any unique characteristics or minor imperfections that appeal to specific collectors. In circulated condition, the 1997 Washington quarter dollar is typically worth around $55,000, with well-worn coins being on the lower end of that spectrum. However, collectors who focus on specific mint marks, years, and coins from the modern era will often pay premiums for a well-maintained example, especially if it's in the higher range of fine to extra fine condition. Next up, we have a coin that has caused quite a stir in the collecting world. The 1982 Washington quarter dollar with a large date and a rare D-error mint mark. If you're familiar with Washington quarters, you know they're a staple in American coinage. But this particular version has sparked an interest due to a notable minting error. The Washington quarter dollar was introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Over the years, it has gone through several design changes, but the obverse design, featuring a left-facing portrait of Washington, has remained a constant symbol of America's founding. In 1982, the Mint decided to produce the quarter with a more distinct, larger date to help with identification. The design remained largely the same as earlier years, but the 1982 series included a small minting error that has had a big impact on its value. The obverse of this coin features the famous portrait of George Washington by John Flanagan. The reverse depicts an eagle perched with its wings spread, holding arrows and an olive branch. On the 1982 quarter, the date is larger than previous versions, but the error occurs in the mint mark on certain coins, where the mint mark is misaligned or incorrectly placed. In 1982, a large number of Washington quarters were produced, with both Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver D mint mark mints contributing to the total. However, some quarters struck at the Denver Mint experienced an issue where the mint mark was either doubled or effaced. These errors are rare, making the add error variety particularly sought after. Now, let's talk about value. In circulated condition, the 1982 Washington quarter with the D-error mint mark can range in value, but it's generally worth significantly more than a standard 1982 quarter. Depending on the extent of the error, the condition of the coin, and the demand in the auction market, collectors can expect to pay anywhere from $100,000 for a circulated example. But here's the kicker. High-grade, well-preserved versions of this coin can fetch over $1,000 or more, especially if the error is prominently visible. The rarity and the collector interest in error coins is what drives this value, with many enthusiasts on the lookout for these unique pieces. To sum up, the 1982 Washington quarter with the D-error mint mark is a coin that not only holds historical significance, but is also a prime example of how minting errors can increase a coin's value. It's a fantastic addition to any collection and a coin that continues to attract attention in today's market. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting.